Hi guys, welcome to another episode with RF Paving. Today we have Leigh Harker with us from Gardens of Elegance.
Welcome, Leigh.
Thank you.
He's one of the best in the industry at design, landscaping, installation and also project management. So we are very lucky to have him with us just to talk about everything in the industry, hopefully raising the standards across the industry and being inspiring to both the trade and homeowners, which you very much are. So welcome, Leigh.
Thank you very much for inviting me in this day. It's nice to meet your suppliers again, and it's very important that within the industry that standards keep being raised.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree.
Welcome, like Leigh, as Amy just said. I think, obviously, a best place to start would be talk about you, where you started and what first brought you into our industry that we're in.
All right. Well, what got me into the industry really is being a young kid at school, wanting to earn some money and thinking, what do I want to do for the rest of my life from a very young age. So at the age of 8, I started working with a guy just at weekends and some nighttime school holidays, unloading a truck.
Did you just say 8?
Yeah, I was
age
8.
Of 8, wow.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do something physically whilst playing rugby, something that matched the physicality of hard work, because I knew hard work would bring good rewards in life. So got into that just by tidying up someone's yard, unloading the truck, cleaning the truck for them, and then a few years later, whilst being at high school, shouldn't have, but I did, taking days off school to go to work because I got £10 for doing it. And going to school ultimately got me nothing. And then I thought to myself, okay, I could do this for not just for the rest of my life, but I thought it's something I'm certainly interested in trying to do for the rest of my life. It's and then leading on from there, and at the age of leaving school, I attended college as an apprenticeship for a very short period of time, doing a bricklaying course, which was of an interest to me. But what I found within that was there was too much literature and not enough physicality of the work, which I did feel like it was holding me back. So whilst doing the landscaping job, I just quit the course and I've done it ever since, really.
Yeah, well, I think Amy has a good saying, don't you know, like about learning, and people have different views on education and school and what schooling is. And Amy says that not all classrooms have 4 walls.
Yeah,
and it's you know, I think that I think you're just getting from what you've just said there, finding something that was interesting to you at 8 years old.
How inspiring is that, though?
Yeah, it's unreal. You know, that is actually unreal. Is that something that you've then developed into being, I'd probably say, not just your livelihood, but your passion as well?
Oh yeah, I'd say certainly you've got to do it with passion, because if you wanted to do this job just as a job, the physicality of it I think would be too difficult for many and most people. But if you love hard work and you love creative work and you want to be inspiring to others, it's certainly a great industry to be in.
It speaks, though, because when you look at your work, it's above the bar. So, like, your passion and your motivation for hard work and to do something different, it speaks for itself via your work. Like, it's absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think of that, you just sound like, yes, a physical work being a little bit more than reading books, doing sort of like academic work. And was there a specific reason why you chose, let's say, landscaping rather than over general building work, that type of thing?
I think that boils down to how creative you can be working outside. Obviously you can be creative with construction, but ultimately being outside on relatively flat ground without having to climb scaffolding, without going to uplifts and all the rest of it, I just thought to myself, this is something I could really enjoy doing, and it's something you can obviously make a career of and give other people careers in. But from a young age, I think the bit that caught me the most was probably the money at a young age. Being given money for doing something, I thought, wow, if this is what work gets you, I want to work, and I don't mind working 7 days a week, 7 nights a week, don't mind working birthdays, Christmas days, whatever days it takes. If we want to do something, we get it done. And I think one of the most exciting things about being young and getting into it, it was a chance. And that chance is something that I'll always remember and be forever grateful of. and it's something I try to instill in other people. So each year we try to give a young apprentice a chance every year, but with common problems of today and I would say habits of today, the mobile phone for the last 5 or 6 apprentices has been the issue that we've had to release the lad because just addicted to mobile phones, and it's like we come to work, we're not here, we're not a call centre, we're not a message centre, we're here to put the work in, and that's so I think it's important to obviously give other people the chances and the choices of what you was once given.
It's up to them to take hold of that chance though, isn't it? That's the difference, is that, like you said from the beginning, you always wanted to work hard, you always knew that, well, working hard gave you money. So if they're getting given that chance, especially to work with someone of your calibre, then, and they're not taking that up, then that's reflective of that they haven't got that ethic about themselves either.
I think life is about chances and having that. Probably the opportunity to be able to take something up like that. Like you've been given a chance at, like you say, 8 years old to do this. I think in most people's career, we've all had chances. Most people's life, depending on what stage they are at that, you do have those chances, and it's like you just said, it's what you do with that and whether you choose, right, this is right. Not every decision everybody's going to make is going to be 100% right for them at that present moment in time. But I believe that you don't get to wherever you are within that life without having that chance and being able to grasp it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think giving chances and choices in life at different stages is quite critical, really, because some people at a very young age want to do things. Some people throughout the rest of their life, they're not bothered about what they do. They're not interested in doing anything. They just go to work sometimes because it's going to work and getting money. Well, the difference, I think, in landscape and what you can do and what you can become is if you go to work to make a difference, you can then make a lot more money. But if you go to work to just make money, you'll find yourself forever chasing the money without any form of true happiness, true passion and dedication and commitment to the actual cause of the job that you're doing and the industry that you're in. And I think that shows in a lot of people's projects when they if they're just doing something simple, you can see sometimes they've done a great job, but it's simple and they've not got a creative mind. But usually the ones with the creative minds produce the nicer and more intriguing projects.
And I think, like you've said, rather than putting people into boxes within education and things like that, the creative mind is one that is better off being unleashed rather than sort of contained within that box. And I think that, within, as Amy said earlier, the project and the calibre of the projects that you've now become on to do, I'm assuming it didn't always start like that from you being, you've had to start at the bottom learning your craft, your trade.
Yeah, for
sure. And then build yourself into what Gardens of Elegance has actually become to this day, and it might be something that you're building towards developing even further in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say when we started off, it was something that I'd had enough of previous employment, and then when we started, I thought I want to be able to give the other people opportunities and chances. But we started off doing quite, I'd say, intricate projects, where now they've become far more intricate, far more detailed. And with a lot more thought that goes into them. But even still, when we started off doing the lesser detailed projects, the critical part of it was finesse and dedication and obsession for precision and perfection. Because as soon as you've got precision and perfection, everything else within the industry can come easier, quicker and happier. But when you struggle to create that perfection and you're striving for the perfection, it's a lot more difficult to then gain.
Excellent, yeah. Well, I can see that as well. And from that, what do you think separates the okay to the exceptional projects as such?
From the okay to the exceptional, it's pretty easy to describe. But when you do basic projects using basic materials, which are widely available, all you can do is create basic projects with basic materials. But if you try to use innovative materials, and that's something that we pride ourselves on doing, you can create different results than what a usual or okay or a normal kind of landscape job would be. But what's important within the landscaping industry, and when you're creating a garden, when you're designing a garden, or when you're planning a garden, or when you're consulting with a client over a garden, is having a true understanding of what that client wants to use the garden for, what they want to entail in it, what they want to look at, what they want to be embedded in. But so when they step out of the house, you need to have a true understanding of how they live and how they want to live. And basically, we design the projects around some of those features, plus many more details that we go into. So, for example, when I visit a client and I walk through the front door and walk through the hallway, usually into a kitchen, then to the garden, I've already analysed the living room, the hallway, the kitchen, and I see how they live.
Yeah.
So we install that exactly into the garden. And when I stand and look at the garden and they tell me they want to have this area or do that type of thing, my mind's a little bit like AI. I can see it already, and it's just a case of implementing it onto the 3D designs and then showcasing that to them.
Do you find that your customer base, your clients as such, are open to interpretation of what, not saying that you think they should have, but would they be open to sort of like them saying, oh yeah, I want this outdoor kitchen and I want all this whatever else installing, but they only use it twice a year? Or would they be sort of like influenced by you as to say, would you not rather, type of thing? Or have you ever thought about this? Do you find that customers are open to suggestions? Or?
Yeah, a lot of people are influenced by previous projects that we've done, because a lot of the projects that we get going forward is based on what people have seen we've done in the past. And they always have wants, needs and ideas, requirements and desires, and what we try to pick up on when we're discussing that is, okay, that's what they want, that's what they need, that's what they would like, that's what they need to have. And then when we design things, I infuse things and show people ways of adapting what they want into how they should have it, because geographically, the way the house is positioned, the way the garden's positioned,
This is
the way
what
trees are
out.
positioned,
Yeah.
the sunfall, sunrise is sometimes important if they're early morning people. Creating shade for people that require shade. Obviously, disabled adaptions in gardens are sometimes important for those families in need. But quite often people say, what would you do? And then that's why we are where we are. We've got to, because we do things for people that we would have done for myself, and things have exceeded. Yeah,
which is sort of like a bit of a natural step onto the next thing. Is sort of like, what would you do? What would you obviously do things to the best of your ability, to the highest standards. Are there things within the industry which you find are shortcuts which are acceptable? You know, what, I'm not saying that we're going to sit here and totally slate what other people do, but is there things that frustrate you within the industry?
Not acceptable in your trade.
Oh, there's a whole long list of things.
How long have we got?
Which, whilst trying to remain humble as possible, I think first and foremost the industry should certainly be regulated, and that's not just a small amount of regulation. It should be to quite a high standard of regulation. Because obviously products have to be regulated.
I was going to bring that. Yeah, absolutely,
components have to be regulated. Lighting, electrical, plumbing, all the rest of it has to be regulated. But the actual fitting of a project doesn't have to be regulated.
Yeah, and
that's what sees a massive windfall of underskilled chances, people having a go at doing gardens. And it's a shame on some customers, for example, who get shortchanged by employing a tradesman, whether it's the cheapest quote, most expensive quote, one in the middle, a recommendation. Quite often people have underperformed in the skill set and leave people the project that has not much longevity to it, and that's usually down to skill set, choice of products, and the whole how they fit the project together. It's some people are not bothered how they fit it together, as long as they get the project done, they get it done as quick as they can, they get paid as quick as they can, and then they leave. But I think our ethos in what we do with regard to it doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as it's perfect at the end. And that's not, it just looks perfect. As long as it's practical, as long as the aesthetics are good, and as long as there's going to be longevity in the project, that's what we pride ourselves on. But with regards to things that I think are a little bit annoying in the industry, I'd say when you try to raise the game and you want higher standards, but you want everybody to achieve higher standards. And I don't just want higher standards for myself because we try to build those high standards, but I'd like everybody to obtain high standards, and then the landscaping sector would just be at a higher place individually. But predominantly, we've got a bad name from, and that bad name comes from the people who are the chancers, who try having a go, who try making money, but they don't really have a clue about what it is that they're doing and they're installing.
It's a lot of money as well, isn't it, a garden that people are spending? It's not just pocket change, it's a lot of money. So I think it's really important that it's done correctly as well, because it can be a lifelong thing for that person. And if it's not done correctly or it's not regulated, it can cause a lot of distress. And you're right, it does give a bad name. Yeah,
of course. It's quite often for people having a project done, it's a project of a lifetime. Most people only landscape a garden once because it's a huge investment, and it should be an investment that's not just for the home or for the garden, but it's an investment for people's lives. It can change the way that people live, it can change the way that they adapt their life, and it can change a lot of aspects of because the garden's usually the largest space of the house, which not a lot of people think about and know about. So when we create the outdoor living areas that we do, we try to make sure they can utilise them for 12 months of the year, and that it's not just a garden or just a patio, and it's not just a space that they can use when the weather's good, but rain, hail, sun or snow, it's we build gardens that can be utilised all year round. As
part of your home, because it is part of your home. A lot of people don't see that.
Well, as a professional, obviously, in installing things, as a homeowner, is the sort of like things that homeowners, when they're having the projects done, don't really see the intricacy of certain things, but you as a professional would probably obsess over, so the homeowners are sort of like, oh, that's just, I don't know, just some drainage.
It just happens.
It's just sort of like, is there something in particular that you'd think, wow, that is something I really obsess in?
Yeah, I'd say, to be honest with you, it's I'm quite obsessed about every detail of what we of what we do, from the initial consultation to the design to the installation to sometimes the maintenance of the projects. But what a lot of customers don't understand is the detailed amount of work that's got to go into a project, whether it be a simple project or a detailed project. A lot of customers don't see drainage, they don't see the sub base, they don't see laying beds of, let's say there's tiles or paving going down. They don't see a lot of the preparation, because sometimes 50 to 60% of the investment and the cost can be in the preparation, and you only see the last 30 to 40, 50% of the products on face value. You don't see the walls behind the tiles or drains under the ground, the stone, the concrete, the steel, etc.
Fair enough.
It's also going back to the warranties though. There's no point having warranties on all the products when so much of the work is actually what goes on underneath. And again, if that's not regulated, then it doesn't really matter if the products have warranties or not, because it's also about how you install them, isn't it?
That's it. Like you say, a massive cost is never actually seen. Once our products are, our landscaping products are the final
finishing surface.
Finishing surface, and that is a minimum amount of the cost. And we quite often have people coming into the depot asking us, or whatever, sort of like say, oh, how much will it be? It's X amount per square metre for the paving. How much will it be? It's an impossible question, but we do advise is that the actual paving is only going to be a fraction of the cost of the actual
the installation of the project.
Yeah. Absolutely.
People see it on social media, don't they, and think it's an easy thing to do, but there's actually so much more that goes into it than meets the eye.
There's a lot of preparation work involved, and to prepare things properly cost a larger amount of money than preparing something quickly that will just make do effectively. And a lot of I'm not saying all contractors, but a lot of contractors will cut corners and not excavate things properly because they think they can get away with certain elements of things. And that shows in longevity of projects.
Yeah.
The longevity in projects, when a project looks good 5, 10, 15 years after, you know it's been prepared well and executed well.
Yeah.
Well, when projects start falling apart after a few weeks, a few months, a few years, you know it's just been a bit of a botched kind of job. And one thing that leads to that is the use of jointing compounds when you're using a non-permeable base to lay your paving on. Because when you lay your paving on a non-permeable bed of mix and you're using a jointing compound that is permeable, the two things are a recipe for disaster. And that's why you should have a permeable bedding mix with a permeable jointing compound for it to work properly. But if you don't do that, it's just a recipe for disaster. And it's something I see week in, week out, year after year, and it's a shame that these compounds are widely used, but it's an easy installation for the people that want to use them, and it enables them to put them in pretty much in all weathers instead of using professional grouting systems that often require dry weather, but does give you longevity and looks smart, albeit it's harder to apply.
Yep.
And you've got to be more skilled, you've got to be patient, and that's one thing that the industry I think is lacking at the moment, and that's patience. But when you times patience against making money and you're making a decision thinking, do I go and make the money today, or do I be patient and wait for a dry day?
Yeah.
Some people need the money, some people want the money, so it's always a difficult choice to make. And obviously when you employ people, which I do myself, you've got difficult decisions to make, thinking we need to do the work to make it happen. But obviously you don't want to call back in a year's time saying this jointing compound's failed, etc. So it's a difficult one to get over the line, really.
Yeah, well, you price yourself, I'd use the word confidently. And I think it's a case of, without it being a race to the bottom, how would you think, and why do you think that's important for you as a sort of like as a businessman, as a contractor, as somebody who's wanting to provide the best for the person who's having the actual work done? How do you think that?
Yeah, so when we price our projects, we always explain to customers we're not going to be the quickest, we're not going to be the cheapest, we're not going to be the dearest, but what we are going to bring you is value for money. We're going to bring you a space that you can create occasions in your garden that will live forever, some things that's not going to fail, but also we do also compete against people that's, I'd quote, predominantly at the race to the bottom. They're trying to output the cheapest paving, they're trying to install the cheapest decks, they're trying to get the cheapest grass, they're trying to do the quickest jobs. And for the customers who want quality installations, I'd say it's important that they want quality, because sometimes when they want the quality, they're patient and willing to wait for you to come. We've predominantly got a 2 to 3 year lead time for installing projects constantly. Well, if a contractor could turn up next week or next month or even in 2 or 3 months' time, there's a reason usually why that contractor can come so quick, and that reason is usually because they've not got a lot of work on. And the reason they've not got a lot of work on is because they're not very good at what they're doing, but they could install you a quick, cheap job.
Yeah.
And for some people with lower budgets and lower expectations, that sometimes fits and suits them. But quite often, as everybody sees on social media and the internet and the news, etc., of people jobs failing, jobs falling apart, and that's why I think things should be regulated.
Yeah. That's the thing though, because if you're spending time, if you're trying to avoid doing it now, like you said, it's only going to come back anyway, because when it does fail or anything in a couple of years' time, that again is more time. You do it correctly first time, and then you don't have to revisit it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I think you used the word just recently, expectations. Is there some things like, I'll use Instagram, social media as such, is there some things that look fantastic on Instagram, on all the social media, that are impractical, things that don't necessarily give people have that expectation that can be done? Okay. And is there one specific thing that you could say, oh yeah, that looks great on Instagram, but it's not really practical?
It's AI.
within the budget of what people are trying to achieve.
Yeah. So quite often what happens is people they have Ferrari expectations and they've got Fiesta budgets. So it's like they want the world's best, they want the best, but in reality sometimes they can't afford it. Some people are surprised at how cheap things are, and some people are shocked at how much things cost. But everyone's got different levels of expenditure. But one of the most misleading things I find personally, and a lot of other professionals find, is a common day thing of people, and I don't know the right word for them, but people trying to make videos of projects, trying to talk a good job, when they're talking and they're filming the video, all you can see is bad practice, like crap job. And it's like, when you get to the end of it, that video, for example, could have thousands of views, followers, likes, whatever it takes, but ultimately it's still a crap job at the end. And then what you can find is sometimes you get low interaction on some people's videos and things, but they do a really high-end quality job, something that looks good and will last forever. But that can be misleading for a large amount of the population, because a lot of people think these days if someone has a follower or a high like count on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it to be, it might be millions of people, it might be hundreds of thousands, it could be whatever number, people automatically assume that they're going to get a good job because they've got lots of followers, and that's so misleading in the industry right now.
Yeah, you've got to dig into the actual work.
But there's a lot of people who will buy into that concept thinking, I want them to do my project because he can make a good video of my project. Well, anybody can make a good video. Anybody could get a videographer, anybody could get a media company in to make things look good. And you can also make an alright job or a bad job look okay, good and great with a video and with the correct lighting and stuff like that. But also you can make an amazing job look bad if you don't videographer it, if you don't photograph it at the right times of the day, the right times of the year, etc.
Yeah. There's a lot of skills that go into all of it, I guess, isn't there?
Oh, 100%.
Like it's you need them all to do a good job out of everything.
100%. It's difficult to sometimes manage expectations, because sometimes customers' expectations are really high, but the budgets are really low, and they're often the most difficult clientele to deal with. Where quite often with the clients that we deal with in the projects, most people, they don't ask us for a quote. They just ask us for a bill each week as we commence with the project, because they understand they're going to get a good job. And instead of the time being spent in administration, doing the quotes and invoices, etc., they know they're getting that level of investment input into their project instead of into administration work.
Yeah,
and so ultimately they're getting more value for money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
Definitely.
Get that indeed. I think the value for money is probably one of the biggest things that, I'm not saying it's a misconception, because like you say, a cheaper quote isn't always the worst quote either.
No,
you know what I
for
mean?
sure.
It just depends on, there's a level of sort of like what people are wanting. I think the misconception is, like you've just said there, the level of what you can get for what your expectations are can be a lot different to what
in reality.
Yeah, in reality.
And quite often, if a customer or a client hasn't engaged in previous construction projects, whether it's at the house or the work or anything in their life, they don't really have a clue of how much things really cost. Well, when people's built an extension on the home or they've done a self-build of a property, they fully know that good things cost good amounts of money and cheap things don't really look good. And it's not necessarily that the cheapest things are the worst, and it's not necessarily that the most expensive things are the best. Everybody has different desires for things, and will invest different amounts of money into different parts of projects based on their desires for using that part of the project.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Yeah, completely agree. There's so much misleading information. It's hard to kind of, excuse my French, cut the crap from the good.
Yeah.
So by us doing something to provide knowledge, it's that whole knowledge is power. And if you're motivated to want to do something in that set, well, we can be on it. It can do it.
Can it?
Yeah. Maybe not now.
Wow.
Don't worry. But yeah, knowledge is power, and for them to actually be good at what they do and actually to cut the crap out of it, you need channels that people can trust and they are promoting the right information rather than promoting it for likes or promoting it because it's worth
promoting
it to them.
Quick.
Promoting it because it's your products.
Well, what advice would you give somebody now who's wanting to start up, whether it's somebody who's been experienced in landscaping for somebody else who wants to get into their own business, or somebody, we've talked about the youth out there, what advice would you give to people like that?
Well, the advice I'd give based on the experience I've gathered over the years is it's not going to be easy, so be prepared for a tough ride. There's lots of highs and lows, and there's lots of sidelined ways you can go, but you've got to be prepared with dedication, commitment and effort, and that will see you through. Amongst everything else that comes in between, the dedication, effort and commitment will get you through anything that you want to achieve in the landscaping industry. But you've got to be resilient as well, and you've got to try and be successful, but you've got to try and create that success through being different to your local competitors. And with that, you've either got to be smarter, you've got to be more creative, you've got to be using different products, or you've got to be quicker to be successful, or you've got to be cheaper. And the cheapest route isn't always the best. But if you're starting up a business, whether you're young, whether you're middle-aged, whether you're old, I'd advise people to try and seek some business knowledge, even though you might have the landscaping knowledge. And when I started a business, I had the landscaping knowledge and zero business knowledge, and I've made many mistakes on the way. Some of them not costing so much, some of them costing thousands or tens of thousands of pounds. But that's because I had lack of business knowledge, and the knowledge of how to landscape a garden and how to run a business is totally different.
Different skill set.
Yeah, different skill sets. And also when you've got to take on staff and how you've got to manage staff, because managing a project, managing staff and managing a business are all different things.
I think that's a massive thing that you always say, isn't it, about the misconception of business as such, is that people probably underestimate what it takes to run a business.
You've got to be, for me, you've got to be a certain type of person. You use the word resilient. You have to be resilient if you run a business. I think people look at people at the top end, like with what you do or in any industry, and they're like, oh, it must be easy to get there. What they don't see, I love that image of, the guy chipping away towards the mine. Like, people have to realise that it isn't easy, and you will all, no matter, even if you're top of your game, you'll always have curveballs, and you have to be resilient. If something small is going to break you, running a business is not for you. And I'm passionate about that.
I think that bit of having control of what your destiny is such, and the control of cash flow, that type
cash flow is the hardest thing, especially in a business like ours. Cash flow is key.
Instrumental.
And if you can't control cash flow, you can't control
if people
business.
give people credit facilities and whatever else like that, you've got to be able to manage that as a business. You've got to sort of like think, oh yeah, I've got 10 grand for this job. Yeah, but you owe 8 of that out. So you need to realise
tax.
Everything.
There's so many parts of it that running a business. I think that people actually need to realise that, look into the whole of it. So whether with all accountancy, taxes, even the cost to start up a business, like on company's house, having the right accountant, having a good solicitor, like having people around you that when something goes wrong, that you've got that team to lean on, because you need that. You need a network of people for a business. One
of the most important things about businesses, if you wanted to create one, is trademarking, and a lot of people don't understand and don't even know what the IPO is, the Intellectual Property Office, and that's something that you should set up and have running before you create your business. But unfortunately, in this country, there isn't the advice out there to do that. But if you wanted to create a name for yourself, create a brand for yourself, it's important to get it trademarked instead of just getting a business, running with it, and then finding out one day you might have to close because you're operating under someone else's name who has got a trademark.
Well, this is a lot of the reason why we're doing this podcast, isn't it? Is to bring nuggets like this onto people. So if people are doing it, people interested in looking at this, think, right, yeah, that's interesting. I remember Leigh saying that. And
also, when you're deciding to start a business, you should also... I never had a business plan. I just rolled with it from landscaping one garden to next, and things have evolved. But you should try to maybe decide how you want your business to be, how you want it to go, and where you want to get to. And also analyse your starting point, because some people think their starting point is nearly the end game, and some people think, well, I'll be able to achieve a business within a year, it's easy, and it's not.
No.
And along the way, you've got to employ the right people in the right places. Otherwise, ultimately, you'll not get to that place in your business that you want to do. And within my business, I do everything from the consultation to the designs to the installation to flying around the world to meet suppliers and imports and things. And it's important that if you want to do it and stay in control of your own destiny, you are the architect of your own destiny. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anything is possible if you're willing to just try and be resilient. And it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, you keep on going.
I love that.
And obviously with the landscaping industry, and I'd say good advice in this industry is to not put all your eggs into one basket. Being a landscaper, predominantly because of the weather. The weather determines how effective we can work outside. Obviously, if we've got bad weather, it's windy, raining, snow on the ground. If you've got a diverse skill set and you can operate something internally, it's always good to be able to do that as well and still create an income through periods of bad weather. And a lot of landscapers fail with that because they think because they can lay flags outside or fencing that they can't do things inside. But a lot of skill sets in the landscaping sector is transferable to internal works.
So that's one thing that we can't control. You're in business, you can control lots of different things. Your decisions on cash flow, your decisions on spend and whatever else. But the weather, unfortunately, we can't control that. You just have to roll with it. It is what it is.
And cash flow and investment into things is really important. So I always see everything as an investment, where a lot of people see things as a cost. And when you see things at a cost, I think you'll kind of limit yourself to in which direction you go. Yeah. But when you look at everything from whether it's a parking ticket, parking fine, buying a piece of machinery, buying a ton of sand, buying a piece of paving, I see every single thing as an investment, and I do not see a single thing as cost within business. And that enables, I think, growth to happen easier than what it would do if I thought it was a cost. If I thought it was a cost, I wouldn't be enjoying it. Well, when it's an investment, you enjoy that purchase because you know it's going to lead you to the next sale, the next operation, the next project. It can take you on a different journey.
I think what you've just described is there's so many components to a business. So when you're just bothered about just say making money and doing everything as fast as possible, and you haven't really thought about everything to do with the business, you are going to fail because being successful in a business is not just about being good at your job. When you say about staff, because you've got such a standard, for you it's very hard because you've got to find people that also have that passion for what you do, because if you have it, there's only a certain place you can grow to without having staff that reflect you, that
on
you
the
can
same
grow
level,
with it. And like some people can't manage staff, or it might be the personality of it. Like you've got to be firm in what you believe in your vision, and your staff also have to see that as well, else that can become a real challenge.
I
when
think
you're working against people.
We often say, don't we? We've got to a place in our business, and the people that we employ within that are fundamental to us and how we do. We couldn't do it. And we have great products, great customer service, but that is because of people that we have around us, and we've learned that from others pre us, if you know what I mean. And that's the thing, that nugget again, passing on that people have done to us. We want to do that, and without people around us, we couldn't do what we're doing.
Yeah, well, staff's the most important part because you can't do everything yourself.
Can't.
Unless you're a one-man band, you're trying to stay under the VAT threshold and everything. But when you've got supplies and staff wages, etc., you exceed the VAT threshold, and then the only way forward from that is employing people to help you do and achieve what it is that you want to achieve. But to manage those staff can be easy and can be difficult depending on the temperament of the staff and the staff of what they want to achieve in their personal life. Because some people go to work because they want to make money. Some people go to work because they have to make money. They've got bills to pay. Some people go to work because they want to get out of the house and they want something to do. And then I'd say a smaller percentage of people actually are intrigued about what they do at work and they want to succeed in it, and they want to grow things. They want to grow their skill set, they want to grow their knowledge, and they want to be able to do things and explore different destinations in doing that.
To me, they're the people that the people that stand out, and that's what you want. It's hard to find.
I think I said originally at the start of that was, what bit of advice would you give to somebody starting out? And I think is a lot of what we've just said there is have a sound knowledge of how complex running a business can be from the start. And I think it's like a little bit more of, it's all right, go do what you want to do, but understand that, and listen to people and get advice off of people, I think is a massive thing.
100%, because when you start off a business, there's a lot of things that you don't know about, and I'm guilty of it myself personally, because I started the business thinking I just do the job and that's it. And then when the HMRC letters started coming and the accountant letters and all the rest of it was like, oh, I didn't know this, didn't know that, didn't know I had to pay 20% of what I make at the end of the year just to the government for the corporation tax.
I think that's why people only last a year or two though, because that's when it all starts hitting. Like, you can look at a job and say you've got X amount of profit, but that is not what it's about. It is about, like, your tax you don't pay for really a year in advance, do you?
Exactly.
Sometimes you prepay against your next year, and things come out of the woodwork. So if you don't have an understanding of that, that's when you just go pop, and it's
100%.
I suppose on that I could really flip the question as to, we're on about somebody starting up in the business as such. If we're thinking about the homeowner who's thinking about having a project done, what bit of advice would you say to the homeowner about
what
the
to
project?
look out for?
What to consider?
I'd certainly advise homeowners to, if they was thinking of employing a contractor, whether it's someone locally or nationally, to come and do something for them, I certainly think they should visit previous projects of what the contractor has built.
Interesting.
Great advice.
Because you'll get to see proof in the pudding whether whether that project was built a month ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, or whenever. And then also reviews can be important, but they're not critical, because there's a lot of it's a bit of a black market out there. People put in fake reviews online to try to look good. There's a lot of people that sell reviews, etc. I think timescale wise, from a homeowner's perspective and the contractor's perspective, I think we touched on this before, but if a contractor can turn up next week or next month to come and do a project for you, depending on how big or how small it is, I think it should be quite worrying if you can come next week or next month, and if you're expecting a fully landscaped garden, and he can turn up next week or next month, there's usually a reason for it. But if somebody said, right, I can be with you next year or the year after, or if it's 9 months down the line or 6 months down the line, there's usually a reason for that as well, because that contractor is good at what they do and there's demand for them. And then I think they should certainly look out for, and it's not just a pricing structure thing, but they should look at the value for what it is that they want, what it is they're trying to get, and how to achieve sometimes a middle ground, because what they want and what they can afford or justify spending sometimes isn't doable for what it is that they want. So there's got to be compromises, improvises along the way, but quite often sometimes that's done with different areas of the garden being changed and using sometimes cheaper products to achieve that, sometimes using better products to achieve it. But other things I think they should look out for is not just the quality of work with pictures that they may see online or videos, because things can be edited, things can be photoshopped, etc. There's a lot of artificial intelligence which can alter things. But having a true understanding of the background of that person, of where they come from, what they do and what they're trying to do, because they'll install that into their projects, and if they care about what they're doing, you know you're going to get a job that's cared about. And what I always find with our customers, it's not just a project to us, it's a journey, it's an experience, and it's a part of, we're building a part of the life for them.
And that changing their life.
And it doesn't just change the garden, but it changes the life, the home, the garden, and sometimes the extended families, etc. And that's good, but sometimes the customer just wants the quickest and cheapest job, and that's also fine. So there's a market for that as well.
Yeah, because like some people, they might be flipping houses every 2 years.
Of course.
And it's expectation. So it's not that if someone is free in 2 months and they're going to get a garden fast, that might suit that client's expectation. Whereas if it's someone's forever home and they're wanting to create a space that works for the family forever, then 2-3 years shouldn't be an issue. So it's finding out, I guess, what they want from it and from there they can decide, who's appropriate to do it. And it's having information at the start, isn't it?
Fair enough, yeah. No, I kind of get that as well. But going on to you again as a contractor, as a professional out there, how important are suppliers to you and materials that people supply? I know everybody's going to say, yes, we're your supplier. It's a leading question.
Yeah. Well, so the supply chain's, I'd say, an integral part of the operation, because without your supplies, you can't do the project. But what you need with your supplier is reliability, responsibility, and value for money is also important. Yeah. But trust is the biggest thing. Because if you've got a supplier who says they'll deliver to you on X date, and you've started a project on X date, you need your stuff to be there. And thankfully with your company, and we've never been let down in 10 years that we've used you for, and I'm forever grateful of that. With some companies out there that we've used, we've been let down. Sometimes it's unforeseen, sometimes it's just lack of responsibility. Sometimes people don't care. But with regards to the supply chain, it's integral. The project can't be done without the supply chain. Yeah. And just like the suppliers wouldn't be able to operate without the end users using the product, it's a two-way thing.
Time is definitely money, though. I think a lot of companies don't see that with deliveries. When they do a time slot. And like for you, if you're on site at 8 a.m. and your delivery doesn't turn up till 4, that's no good. Huge. You could literally be spending double on your product and you're losing more on the delivery not being there. Like, that's huge, I guess, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. And I think with your supply chain, the way you do things, and you have your own delivery trucks to enable the deliveries to happen, I think that's amazing, because there's a lot of companies out there that rely on courier services, and couriers can be good and can be great, and also they can be terrible. They can let you down, they can break things, they can... So it's good that you've got an option to deliver your own products, and I think that's an outstanding part of your business.
I think you used a good word. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think you used a good word, as in trust, because we'll be the first to say we try our best, but we're not perfect. Things
go wrong.
But I think that trust in knowing that if there's issues, if there's something that does go wrong, is having that trust.
That you're there to support the backup and to sort it.
And we will. We've got that trust within our supply chain as well. Yeah. And if we get
it's accountability goes throughout.
We have to then pass that on to you guys as sort of like say, look, there has been an issue, but we'll be not reactive, proactive to be able to sort of like foresee any potential issues. And I think
it helps with the trucks as well, because like for me, I would never get rid of them, because if there is an issue with a carrier, you can straight away sort that because you've got your own trucks, so you can be reactive about it. Whereas when you're in someone else's hands, no matter if you want to do something, you can't do anything about it. So I try to do things where if something does go wrong, we can do something about it.
Yeah, and I think that's an integral part of your business, and one of the reasons I use you as the paving supplier, as opposed to other people who sometimes offer cheaper rates, etc. I just know that the reliability, responsibility, and trust and everything just works with you guys.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's second to none service that you offer, and will always remain a customer to you for as long as that remains.
Well, I suppose we try and do things as a company. We try and do things properly, and I think that is something that is, again, you use the word integral to the thing. And I suppose, what are your views on what is your? I think I know the answer to this, on what you're passionate about doing things properly.
Oh yeah, you've got to do things. There's no point in doing things if you're not going to do them properly or professionally. But if you're going to do it, I think do it wholeheartedly. Don't do it just because you have to, or you can do, or you want to. But do it, and even if you don't like doing an aspect of something, you've got to just turn that mindset around to, I may as well enjoy this, I may as well love this. I'm doing it for 8 hours today, 10 hours, 12 hours today. Even if I don't like it, I'm going to love it. And then that gets you through the days faster, better, and I think it shows in people's projects when they've got a little bit of love and desire and professionalism about themselves. I think it would be good to see more of that in a younger generation coming through, and uplift the industry overall.
No, definitely. We also love seeing our products in your projects as well, because the way that for me, when you see your project, I know it's you. Even wherever it can be, like wherever the picture's advertised or wherever your work's advertised, I instantly recognise one of your projects.
Yeah, even without seeing my name.
Without seeing your name, you just know. you guys, you'll obviously look into his work, you will know exactly what I mean when I say that. It is recognisably you. It's,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. So we're honoured to work with you as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. As much as, like you already said there, as much as a supplier is important to you, you know, customers are as important to us, because without those customers, we don't have a business.
Yeah, it's a two-way street, isn't
Of
it?
course it is. And seeing products in situ, in sort of the prestige, and I would call them prestige jobs that you do, is it's brilliant for us to see. And, you know, it's just something that we're thankful for, as well as thankful for you for coming today to talk to us, taking time out of your schedule.
Yeah,
No problem. So how do you guys see the industry changing over the foreseeable future?
Well, go on, Emma. Go on, what do you think about this?
I would like to see it advancing. I think a lot of, especially with suppliers and, well, definitely with suppliers, I think they are sat 20, 30 years behind. I don't think there's been much change in how business works and how products are supplied. I would like to see more people caring about what they do, not just the bottom number that they see. I think it's really important that whatever you're in, whatever industry you're in, like you said before, you care about what you do. You're doing it because you have a passion towards doing it and you're wanting to make it a better place. And that, for me, is really important, whether it's in supplies or in landscaping. I also think as well, I would like to see a big difference in how people run businesses. I think, you know, mental health and everything, it's important, and people's work is integral to their life. So if they're miserable at work, it affects a lot of things. It affects their family, it affects their children, it affects how children are brought up. And I think for business owners, just to have a bit more accountability for setting a correct business up and having staff that they support and creating something great together that is also ethical in all areas. That's really important. I'd like to see a lot more of that, especially in our industry.
Setting it up to then almost have a business plan to bust
to
it and then
restart
again is horrible. I think one thing that I think, and with the help of people like yourself, that I know there's other people within the industry who are trying this as well, is that I think that passing the knowledge on to the younger generation. I know there's a lot of people sort of like say, oh, these youngsters, they don't want to work, they're not interested, they're not doing this, that. There are people out there, and I think that more people that can bang the drum on, this is an industry that is great. And like you've quite rightly said earlier, it's like with a bit of regulation into that, I don't know whether you can have a bit of regulation, it's either regulated or not, but if we can drive those standards up and it become a renowned profession which people like yourself take pride in, you know, electricians are regulated, plumbers are regulated, everything else like that, but somebody who's installing a life-changing thing for somebody is not regulated is a bit wrong. And I think that we will see going forward that if we can keep banging the drum into let's get this industry more professional.
Yeah.
And encouraging younger people to come into the industry as well, because I think everyone's encouraged to university, or there's not as many doers anymore.
We said that not every classroom has four walls, and I think there's not every kid is
academic.
You know, I'm fortunate enough to know you personally, and you know, your young lad is 14-year-old.
Yeah. So Oliver's been working with us for around 4 years now, since the age of 10, and his skill set is second to none for such a young lad. He's not just a labourer, but he can do things some adults can't do. He can render and things like that, which is I think amazing for a young kid to be able to do it. And he's not only doing that because he's my son or I'm pushing him to do it. He's doing it because he wants to do it, and he wants to leave school. It was actually his parents' evening last night, and we had a few words with the teachers and things, but he knows he's ready to leave school now.
Yep.
He's on the payroll, he gets paid well, and he's good to go.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's not enough young people with that enthusiasm for the industry, but I think with some education about the industry, I think this could excite younger people. Just for example, like using Luke Littler as an example in darts, young kid coming on the scene, blasting through everything, winning things, disrupting
absolutely
all of the system.
Yeah,
and then there's a whole load of young kids now playing darts, for example, in cricket as well.
Love
T20
that.
over the last so many years gets a lot more younger kids introduced to it. There needs to be something that's in the landscape and industry that excites young people to come into it, and it's not just about doing the hard slog of the work.
It's all... Sorry, you
go.
go.
Just a bit of a funny thing there. You mentioned Luke Littler, and my lads who play cricket, both my lads play cricket, and I spend my life taking them all over Yorkshire, North of England, whatever else, playing cricket. Luke Littler's dad took him to the pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, darts though, yeah.
Where have I gone wrong?
Yeah.
So, no, I think the inspiration of somebody young like Oliver coming into it could be massive thing, and like I said, the things like this, what we're trying to do is bring sort of like the positivity of landscaping industry, and if we could drive younger people into getting into it, what a fantastic industry it can be.
It could be, for sure.
Oliver's lucky though because he has you to do it, whereas I think that's the issue with school, is that you are made to be academic, or when, I don't know what they call it, you know, when they do set, it's like where people are disruptors, they put them into a separate cabin, and he's doing practical things, but it's not skills. I think they need to separate the people that are academic and the people that do want to be doers
could be physical,
and
clever.
creative. But teach them that. Like, Oliver's so lucky to have you because you're teaching him that. If everyone had that kind of role model, or if school applied that into their system, they'd get so much more value, you know, from that, and for people, because it's really hard for younger people to find somewhere where they can actually learn those skills. It's becoming less and less.
Yeah, a lot of people learn in different ways. So sometimes people learn reading, sometimes people learn through listening, sometimes people learn through watching, and sometimes people learn through physically having a go.
Yeah.
And it's the physically having a go that got me to where I've got to today.
Yeah.
I left school without GCSEs, etc. But just through that dedication, the passion and effort and commitment, you can get there. But unfortunately, in schools are driven to drive you towards college, and they drive you towards university.
And sometimes that's debt for no reason.
Yeah, 100%. But which it can be important for if you want an academic route of something in life.
Yeah,
it can be crucial to your career. But sometimes it can be a waste of people's years of their lives, and I hear experience stories from that through several people and clients and friends, etc.
Yeah, hopefully we can do something about it, whether it's now or in a few years' time, to actually encourage younger people to get into it. I think it's really important. I think that's probably where it needs to start, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And then, because if not, it's gonna end with us. Yeah.
So obviously a few things I'd like to ask you guys.
Yeah,
obviously, you're predominantly a paving company, supply products for internals and externals. Do you see any innovative products appearing on the market in the foreseeable future? And I don't mean things that's been on the market for the last 20, 30 years, like resins and porcelain tiles things. Do you see any innovative products that would appear to be coming next in the market, or are we not quite there yet?
Well, I think the industry is changing, and I think the products within it are getting cleverer, to be quite honest. You know, I know that there's people out there that just base their businesses on just supplying what they can get from where they can get it and where their overseas businesses are based. We as a company are forever looking at different suppliers, different areas within
things, to solutions, different solutions.
And what we do is listen to the people. There is a big thing now on, and it's not an innovative thing, but a lot of people are getting more into the natural stone.
Yeah.
You know, the Egyptian limestone has become a thing, and it's beautiful. It has a place. So
it's a great product. Yeah,
it is a great product. It's not innovative. It's just sort of like us as suppliers listening to what the people want. With regards to sort of like new things out there, we like to listen to what people want rather than sort of like going, and what we don't want to do as a business is going, right, this is going to, we don't take a punt on this is going to be the new thing or whatever else like that.
But you can't really. So, you know, like we travel all over the world, look at different products, but a lot of the time products are suited to certain markets.
And certain climates.
And also certain clients. So you've got a lot of, like, people of your calibre, they will try new products, they will try make things more exciting, whereas it's quite difficult to get that new product to work in our environment.
Yeah.
So we might see
to a
something...
mass market.
That's it. So with what we do, it has to be appeal to a mass market. So I think I see a lot of things in different industries, even to do with our industries, that's not something that we'd necessarily do, that wouldn't work for our business module, because it's, again, that education of getting it out there and getting it to work on a mass scale.
You know how we work as a company is there's pretty much nothing that we can't do.
No, there's not, and there's certainly nothing you cannot get.
Yeah, exactly.
At the moment that's on the market.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's hard to pinpoint down an actual product. So we have all sorts of conversations. You deal closely with Craig, who will, in our office, who will source anything and anything for you. And it's sort of like one of those things of us as a company is that's what we try and put forward is, we might not be able to sort of like give you that tomorrow, but if you tell us what you need, whenever you need it for, we will be able to source and do that for you. We're not just pigeonholed into just being
another thing as well.
pony.
It is skill set. So I a lot of the time see products at different exhibitions and I think, wow, that looks great, but because I physically haven't got the skill to actually do it, even though I can talk around it, it's having your input and also having like the likes of you that actually does it to think, it looks good, but will that actually, and it's a good solution, it makes things a lot quicker, but does that stand up in a long test of time? Things work, but then the way that you'd look at it might be different to actually the application and longevity, if that is going to work on, a long term.
I totally understand
that.
And what do you find the most common product is for people's gardens of an installation these days?
I think it was being porcelain, definitely, but I am definitely noticing a shift back to natural stone. I think it was natural stone, it's very much shift to low maintenance. I think that was what everyone was... Oh, hitting my microphone. There was a big shift to porcelain with the low maintenance side, but I am noticing a shift between going back to natural stone, but also mixing materials. So like mixing the natural stone with the porcelain and even other materials, like adding a lot of different dimension into your garden rather than just being 100 square metres of literally just porcelain and not really having much thought into it. I think there's becoming more thought into the garden and the different materials that are used.
I think a little bit more of the outdoor living has become a thing.
Definitely,
connecting the home to your garden type of thing, and it is. We are one of the not only people, but we supply a range of products. It is porcelain, using your same porcelain tile that you can run from your internal space to your external space, creating a seamless flow out of those bifold doors, sliding doors, whatever you've got there, creating that extra space, like we said, that people can use 12 months a year. We've got ranges that we feel that is something that we've listened to people about, and that's something that we've got in abundance to be able to sort of like offer to people that type of range. So that's a big thing that I think that we've found over the past 2 years or such, is that the want for people to create that seamless look.
And obviously planning for that in advance is integral to any part of any project, because you can't just, not saying just buy it off the shelf, but if you want to fit something inside and outside, your floor prepreration inside is sometimes the same, sometimes different from externally.
Well,
just going to say
the colours as such as well. You've got your kitchen that you don't think about your kitchen before you're doing your garden.
It's your level.
It's
your levels though as well. Like I think that's why it's important, especially that's why we do the home building and renovation show, because that's a lot of people at the starting point. It's trying to get people to think about the gardens when they're in the planning build stage, which a lot of people don't do. But
sometimes it's an afterthought.
It is, but it connects. So if you want a seamless inside to out, unless your levels are correct, you're not going to be able to do that, and that all starts from the build. It's trying to get people to think about the garden at the starting point.
In advance.
Instead of it being an afterthought. I think that...
It's quite often people's budgets run out as well after they've done a home renovation, whether it's a new build or an extension. Sometimes people's not quite got the budget to then do the garden, and then sometimes people want the nice part of the garden, and it's like, well, you can have it, but you've not quite got the budget, the timing's not right, and it's
just all ties in, doesn't it?
It does,
I think people don't realise how much it ties in.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's an integral part of what you do and what you're supplying. If you're planning for it, for example, you could order your indoor tiles now and the outdoor ones. Well, you guys got the great capability of which we've used. You've stored the other tiles for us to use at a later date. So even though we've bought them, purchased them, you've kept hold of them, and when it comes to doing the second phase of the project, you've got continuity of the tiles flowing through. But there's a lot of companies out there that wouldn't offer that facility, and this is where it gives you a leading edge.
No, I agree. I think that's what we try to do as well. I understand, like, with a business, you've got to make money and everything as a business plan, but we try to see it from a human side, like with the service. And it's like, you do sometimes have to hold product, but also educate the person before, instead of it going wrong and then being like, you should have looked, you do know that porcelain has batch, because you educate them at the beginning and try have a bit more responsibility instead of just flipping money over, because then everyone wins, and it's like you are trying to raise the standards of what people do.
Yeah, and do you as a company find, obviously customers being in touch with you wanting to buy things, do you tend to find people are trying to buy the cheapest product, or do you tend to find they're trying to find the best product?
I wish that people that were trying to find the best product was a bigger percentage. I think, and I understand that budgets is a big thing. Like, some people just don't have the budget for it, which is absolutely fine. But I think, like you said, it's not the product that is the big cost of a job.
It's the labour element of the installation.
Exactly. So to save £5 on, say, £5 a square metre on your product, you're also going to then be looking at undercutting on the labour part, and then that's when you're wasting your money, because in 5 years' time it is going to have to be redone, and then it doesn't matter whether you paid £100 a square metre or £5 a square metre, it's getting smashed up.
I think there's a mixture of both with our customer base. We've got the mainstay of the actual company is, yes, we turn over product, and some of that product is relatively low margin, which is, it's, again, we've said with pricing, a bit of a race to the bottom with pricing of certain products. But we have certain customers as well who are willing to pay that little bit more for the quality and the service that they get from within us.
Yeah.
People are willing to do that. But I think what Amy's probably just said then is right, is that, yes, we've got certain people who just want the cheapest, and, we can give them that. But also the people who
want the best,
who want the quality products,
we can give that as well,
are there as well. But we've got a mixture of a business where we can supply everybody and anybody, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And it's being honest, though. If you have got a budget end product, it's being honest that this is the budget end product. This is what to expect from it. This is what the difference between buying this.
Manage
it's
people's
just
expectations.
Exactly. It's just not selling something that's really budget and being like, oh, it's the best of the best, because it's not. Just be honest about what you're going to get. That's the biggest thing for me. And I think a lot of companies are quite smoke and mirrors about it, and they just, when you go in B&Q and the people pretend that they know everything about everything that they sell, that's impossible. So I think going somewhere that actually does know about the product they sell, you can ask those questions and get the correct answers, is really important, instead of going to a place that they're just guessing on the questions that you're asking them. Whereas if someone asked me a question and I wasn't quite sure, I'd say, I'm not quite sure on that, good question, I'll get back to you when I know the factual information. I won't just try and make something up to...
Yeah, that's what we do. We supply landscaping, we supply products to the landscaping industry, and, internal wall and floor tiles. We don't pretend we're something that we're not. And what we try to do is sort of like do what we do really, really well.
And with you predominantly selling paving products to the landscaping industry and recently tapping into the internal market, do you have any plans for the future to tap into any other markets and supply any other materials or offer any other services?
Yeah, well, I think without saying too much, we're already supplying internationally. We've supplied various different projects, like hotels. I think we've just completed a project in Antigua for a client out there, and we are looking into different industries out there, and we see it as we do this and import into the UK and distribute within the UK, which we like to think we're very good at, and we've got different levels of client within that that sort of like industry. Well, we see internationally being a way forward that we're going to look into as well, because we can import into the UK, we can do it, why can't we do that elsewhere?
I think it's the commercial market as well.
Exactly.
So we are trying to get more into the commercial market. And I think a big part of that is having an array of different products, but we're not necessarily going to have all those products in stock on site. Some might be bespoke made to that project, but I think, yeah, for us going more into the commercial market and also trying to find different solutions for different issues and hopefully bring those products into the market. Good. So yeah,
that sounds
exciting, hopefully.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Exciting times for
Well,
us.
thank you so much for coming on.
Oh,
really
you're welcome.
appreciate it. We will put everything in the description about Leigh and his business. So if you want to look into his work, a bit more about what he does, then everything will be in the description. So yeah.
Exactly, and as always, if you've got any subject matter, obviously we've had Leigh on as a guest today. Anybody that you want to see, you want us to interview, or just sit and have a chat, I don't think you'll find it's not being an interview.
No, it's
just
easy.
three people chatting. Yeah. Just let us know. But yeah, thanks once again to Leigh.
Yeah.
We really appreciate your time.
It's okay. Welcome for all your paving needs. These are the guys to go to.
Thank you.